I should be doing $300,000 a year for that employee. So if I have 10 employees, I should be doing $3 million a year. That's kind of a good benchmark. A lot of people don't want to do warranty work because they don't understand the system that the different companies have for submitting warranty. Remember, the technicians, each technician is a profit center for you. So the more technicians that you have, the more money that you're going to make, because they're the only ones, as you know, that are out there making money for you. Welcome to the Standby Generator Podcast, brought to you by Power Alliance. I'm your host, Jim Swetman. Together, we will dive into the world of the standby power business, offering expert insights, industry trends, and actionable strategies to help you grow and scale your generator business. Whether you're looking to optimize your operations, increase profitability, or stay ahead of the curve, this podcast is your go-to resource. So grab a seat and let's power up your business for success. Hello and welcome to this week's Standby Generator Podcast. I'm your host, Jim Swetman. And this week, I think a lot of you dealers out there, especially the newer ones that are either getting started or looking for growth, I've got some benchmark data here that I'd like to discuss, and we're going to be talking about hiring. Hiring specifically, when to hire your next technician. And we'll kind of break that down on the revenue numbers and benchmark information that I have and what I've learned owning and running a standby generator business for 20 years. And I'll talk about my experiences and what worked and didn't work for me. And so let's get into it. All right, so you've got your standby generator company. You maybe have one technician working for you, two techs working for you. And you know what? What are the benchmarks of when I hire another technician? What are the go points that I know that I need to hire another tech? So some of the things that I've learned in business is I use the $300,000 a year mark. And what that means is that for each employee that I have, I should be doing $300,000 a year for that employee. So if I have 10 employees, I should be doing $3 million a year. That's kind of a good benchmark. Now, obviously, some of your employees are going to be the technicians that are out in the field, and those are your profit sharing or your profit people that are out there actually making you money. And then you've got your back office staff. They're not revenue generating people, but you also need to include them as part of that $300,000 benchmark. Now that can vary depending on trade. But you never want to drop below, say, $275,000, $300,000 an employee. If you're doing that, that means that you're making money. So again, just some basic benchmarks. So let's get into the details about the standby generator dealership and when I used to pull the trigger on hiring another technician. And obviously, that's based on how much work you have and the projected work that you see coming up and the backlog that you have as well. So breaking it down into detail, what I used to do is my maintenance technicians, let's just talk about maintenance techs. So the maintenance techs, we would do average, these are all averages, 5 maintenance visits per day. And if he's doing $300 per maintenance visits, he's doing 5 a day, that's 25 per week. That's 100 maintenance visits per month. So if he's averaging $300, which is a lot less now, you could plug in the number of 400, but I'm keeping it easy. If you keep it at $300 per maintenance visit, $300 to $350, he may have to put a battery in or something like that. Let's just say he does 100 maintenance visits per month, and $300 to $350, obviously that's $35,000 a month in revenue, and that's $420,000 a year. So that one maintenance tech is meeting your benchmark criteria of $300,000 per tech or per employee. And he's actually doing very well because, remember, you got your back office staff that you have to throw into that mix. So he's helping fund that back office staff as well. If you take that by the year, so that one technician should be doing between, let's just say for holidays and things like that. Let's, again, keep it simple. 1,000 maintenance visits per year per tech. And again, if you're doing $350, that's, $350,000 that you have for that technician that is doing that. Now, again, that does not count service, or it does not count any kind of warranty repair or service work that has to happen. This is just maintenance. So what we used to do is we used to break down our technicians into 3 different categories. Our level 1 technician was strictly maintenance. So he was a spark plug, oil changer type person, very good at what he does, very efficient at what he does, but he was focused on just doing that. Our level 2 technician was the tech that would do the repairs on the generator. So let's just say the level 1 tech would open up that generator and see the starter motor laying on the side of it. He would not try and do any kind of repairs because his van is not set up to have starter motors and controllers and air boxes and everything in there. He's strictly there to do maintenance for the efficiency part of things. He would then notify the owner, show them what the issue is, and then call the office and tell them to schedule somebody to come down and take a look at that repair. And that level 2 tech, when he would show up, he would already have a list of standard items that need to be repaired on air-cooled generators, which they're either a Kohler or Generac. And he would already have that list of items, so he didn't have to call anybody and figure out what it would cost to replace a starter motor or a controller for that air-cooled generator. He would show the customer to replace that controller was $495, and then the level 2 tech would give him that number. The customer would say, yep, let's go ahead. He would go ahead and have the customer sign that purchase order, giving him authorization to do the work, and then that work would be executed. So the key for this is having different levels of techs, and the level 2 techs, just from experience, needs to have a sign-off from that customer before he starts the work. I'll give you an example. What used to happen is that we would get a verbal okay by the customer right there to say, yep, go ahead, replace that starter motor or the controller. I'm going to go inside and finish up my lunch. So you go ahead, you go in your van. Of course, you've got all the materials and parts that you need because you're that efficient. And you go ahead and replace it. And then you go to the customer and say, okay, it's complete. Let me show you how it all runs. And then they say, oh, I just talked to my husband on the phone and he wants to get another quote. Well, you've already done the work, but you never got anything signed. It was all verbal. And now you're into a confrontation with the customer and it gets really, really uncomfortable. So the best thing to do is always have them sign your iPad right there, or have them sign the work order before you do the work and go ahead and get the work finished up. This episode of the Standby Generator Podcast is proudly presented by Power Alliance, the only mastermind community built specifically for standby generator dealers. At Power Alliance, we believe growth happens faster when you're connected. That's why we bring together like-minded dealers across the country to share real-world insights, solve challenges, and accelerate business success together. From streamlining operations to scaling your service division, Power Alliance gives you the tools, support, and community to take your business to the next level. Learn more and join the movement at www.poweralliance.com. But let's go back to numbers as far as what you think you should be doing for numbers. So if you're doing 1,000 maintenance visits a year, again, just as a general number, well, that's one level 1 tech that you want to have on board. For repairs, if you've got 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 maintenance visits, you need to have another tech right there that's going to be doing the repairs and warranty work. So there's 2 techs right there that you need to make that happen. Now, with the warranty work with Generac and Kohler, a lot of people don't want to do warranty work because they don't understand the system that the different companies have for submitting warranty. I can tell you right now that when we did warranty work, we did very well with the warranty. And there are ways to make that happen, and it's called efficiencies. If you identify that that's a warranty issue, you work with the specific OEMs, and you have an inside person within that OEM that you can deal with on the warranty repairs, and you know how to submit that warranty repair, it really is not that bad of an issue to do warranty work. And what I used to do is I used to have one of my operations employees. We had so many customers. We had almost 10,000 maintenance contracts. It warranted a full-time one person just to handle the warranty submissions within the company. And he was extremely well versed and efficient in doing that. So that's kind of what it is as far as maintenance visits go. So every 1,000 maintenance visits, you need to have a tech, because also on it is you do not want to have a customer waiting more than 30 days to do a scheduled maintenance visit. So if that customer has signed up for a maintenance contract, whether it's a 1-year, 2-year, or 3-year prepaid maintenance contract, you want to make sure that you're not any longer than 30 days past that. So if they signed it June of 2025, and here it is August of 2026, and you haven't been there to do that maintenance, you're starting to lose respect to that customer. And believe me, a lot of these customers are going to call you and ask why you haven't been there to do maintenance. So another key is like, hey, when do I know to hire a technician for service, maintenance, or warranty repair? Another benchmark could be how far you're falling behind in the backlog that you already have. And you do not want to fall behind with customers that have prepaid maintenance contracts. So if they have a 3-year prepaid and they already paid you 3 years ago or 2 years ago or a year ago, and they've already given you a check for $1,200 for 3 years, and you don't execute that on time, you're going to have a boatload of trouble from that customer. And next thing you know, they're going to be on Google reviews because they're going to feel that you took their money and you're not executing on their maintenance visits. So those should always be a priority for sure. If you've got their money in your hand, that's got to be an absolute priority to get those people done. So you can take a look at, what's happened over the last 1 or 2 or 3 years with your company as far as growth goes. You can also take a look at your new installations that you've done. You should be targeting, if you're a standby power dealer, a standby generator dealer, whether Kohler or Generac, your minimum that you should be targeting to be a semi-profitable, a profitable company is 1 install per day. That's really what your goal should be, to be a small standby dealer. And if we kind of break that out a little bit, it works like this. So if you do 1 install a day, of course, that's 5 a week. That's 20 per month. That's 240 installs per year. And say you're averaging $12,000 an install, even though that could be much more depending on your area. It could be 14,000, could be 10,000, whatever. But just to make things easy here, you're doing 240 installs a year. At $12,000 an install, it's just shy of $3 million a year in revenue that you're doing as far as installation goes. And if you're doing 1,000 maintenance visits, again, the revenue on that benchmark is like $400,000. Again, keeping things easy. So, 1 install a year and 1 or 2 techs, you got yourself, company that's doing about $4 million a year, a little less than $4 million a year. So that's really what your target should be. And that's a good start and a good, I'm not going to call it easy, because running a standby generator business by any means is not easy, but that should be some really good targets to you. So let's change a little bit here and talk about techs for new installations. This is how I ran the company that I ran up here in upstate New York, and this is how it became extremely profitable for me on new installations. What I used to do is I had my core employees, and the average install, you would have 3 guys there, right? You would have one of your normal guys, maybe 2 of your employees, and one of the employees may be your dirt guy or your helper. The other is the senior installer. And the other person on site, or 2 other people on site, will be the electrical side of things. Now, what I did is I had a great relationship with a local small contractor, and he would do all of my electrical installations. In fact, his company was dedicated just to doing standby electrical work for me. Now, he did other things as well that would supplement when we didn't have the kind of volume that we needed. But it was great because he would only charge me if it was a quick installation, say it was a selected circuit install. He would only charge me for 4 or 5 hours for his 2 guys that were there. So it would be a 10-hour bill for that at the hourly rate that he charged me, instead of a 16-hour bill like I would have to pay with my own employees. So what I did is the natural gas work and the commissioning and starting and the dirt work and all the stuff were all done by my employees. Anything electrical was done by this subcontractor. Now, the customer, he doesn't really care who does the work, and I never really mentioned that I was subcontracting out the electrical, because the electrical contractor that I had on site, he had the same values as I did as far as workmanship, getting things done, language on site, the way he dressed, the way his vans looked. It was seamless as far as what it looked like having that electrical contractor on site. So that's another great way. Instead of having your own employee, you can have the subcontract. Now, you may be an electrical contractor and that's not possible because you already have your employees, which is perfectly fine, because you can always have them do other things as well. But that's the one thing that I had started laying things out. So for a new installation, my crews would be either three, one electrician, two of my employees, or four, two electricians, two of my employees, because one was always running gas work, one was always working with the propane supplier, and one was always doing the helper that was there doing the dirt work, setting the pad, getting the generator onto the pad, and things like that. So, $300,000 per employee. And then, those are kind of the specific indicators of the revenue threshold of what you should be doing. So if you're doing 240 installs a year, you know that the following year in 2026, you're going to have an additional 240 maintenance visits that you're going to be doing. Or you take a look at what you did the year, 2 years prior, and say you did 200. That's 400 now in the 2-year period. So you can see that you need to keep up with having technicians on staff. Another thing that worked extremely well for me is I was always a believer in having what I call depth in the bench. And what that means is I always had, when I started getting close, say to 70% of some of these numbers as far as maintenance visits go, what I needed to do, I was always looking to hire another technician, because your techs are either going to get sick, they're going to quit, they're going to want to take a 3 or 4 week vacation, all of a sudden they're going to change their mind and move to another state, and it's going to leave you hanging. So I always had another technician when it got to about 60% of the volume of these numbers. I was looking and I brought on another technician. Because remember, each technician is a profit center for you. So the more technicians that you have, the more money that you're going to make, because they're the only ones, as you know, that are out there making money for you. So you want to make sure that you are staffed properly with the technicians. Don't be scared to hire them. If one of the techs isn't completely 100 busy all day long, that's perfectly fine. You can use that time for him to cross-train him on other things as far as service, maintenance, warranty, repair. That other tech that may not be busy, you can train him on the products that you're doing out there. And then you can also take a look at maybe some of the technicians that really aren't performing well out there. So you may have a tech that's an okay guy. Well, you may take that okay guy, pull him out of the field, and either lay him off or make him kind of the helper type guy. So again, that's what's nice about having depth in the bench with another technician as far as that goes. So, salespeople, your sales guy or girl, your salespeople, they should be responsible for doing one sale a day, so that they're busy. And that's really the only way that they're going to keep going. Now, your salespeople, you know what? The commission program for your salespeople, and I'm a believer that a good person that's selling a $14,000 job or a $12,000 job and is bringing in you $3 million a year in sales, he should be making $100,000 a year. That should be the target. Now, if he's only doing 3 installs a week, obviously he's not making $100,000. But if your salesperson is bringing in $3 million for you in revenue and he's selling 1 a day, he should be making $100,000 a year. And for you out there, people, some of the dealers say, oh my gosh, that's a lot of money. Some dealers say, oh my gosh, I'm paying him more than that right now. I may be overpaying. Again, it all depends on where you are, but those are some really good targets as far as that goes. Now, let's talk about, too, some of my experiences in hiring technicians. So let's talk about that. So let's just say you've got one service maintenance and warranty repair tech. He's doing warranty work. He's doing service work. He's doing maintenance work. You've got customers that you can't get to for another month to do that. That's a mistake, because they're going to go to your competitor and you're going to wonder why your competitor's getting bigger and bigger out there and you're just maintaining getting smaller. You have to make an investment in your company, and your company is about employees. Growth is about employees. Growth and money making is about having installation techs and service techs. That's where it is. Growth in your company is having a fantastic operations manager that can coordinate all of that. That is what it is all about in the standby generator industry as far as having that go. Some of the, some of the experiences that I had hiring technicians, one of the things that we did that worked out very well is that when we were hiring a tech, we would go through the interview process, of course. I always had operations do the interview, the first interviews first, right? So you look at the resumes, you call them in. The operations manager does the first interview. They may actually come in and talk to them and say, you know what, we're thinking about selecting you, Frank, as one of our maintenance level 1 technicians. We're going to train you. We're going to get you involved in the standby power industry. But what we want is we're going to have you shadow one of our maintenance techs for one whole day, because we want you, Frank, to have a really good understanding of what you're going to be doing. And that's not only the technical aspect, but it's also the commitment that you need to make as far as being to work at 7:30 in the morning so you can hop in your van and be in that first maintenance visit at 8 o'clock. We're also looking to make sure that you understand, Frank, is that you're outside in the elements every single day. And we don't want that to be a surprise to you. So when it's 85, 90 degrees, you're out there doing the 4 or 5 maintenance visits a day. And when it's 10 degrees out and the wind is blowing, we don't want you calling in sick, that you realize that you're going to be outside and doing this. And we want you to have a clear understanding of that. Once we did that, we had a ride for a day. We didn't pay them, because we're also looking for that commitment of that person. And they rode with our tech for a day. And we found out that those guys that did that, they hung on with us a lot longer. We would also make sure that they understood this level 1 tech, or maybe you're hiring a level 2, or maybe even a level 3 tech, which is a commercial and industrial tech that can work on the big commercial, industrial, and the diesel generators. But we were also talking to the technicians about long-term opportunity with this company. I did another podcast about what employees are really looking for. And yes, pay is extremely important, and you have to understand what the technicians are getting in your industry and what the pay is going to be. But they're also looking for opportunity. Like that level 1 tech, most level 1 techs are going to last 4 or 5 years out in the field. And if you don't give them an opportunity to move up to a level 2 or a level 3, or even in the office for management, you're not going to hang on to them for too long. So you really need to have a clear discussion and path for that technician about what your long-term plans are for them to stay involved in the company and have them part of the company, and really make them understand the importance of what they mean to the company, but really what they are doing for that customer, to make sure that that generator is going to function when the power goes out and there's an elderly grandma and grandpa that rely on this standby generator for heat, air conditioning, CPAP machines, anything medical, the technicians need to understand that they're a big part of making that happen. So please always bring in your techs and make them feel wanted and understanding. Always listen for their feedback. If they see something that they think can be a little bit more efficient in the way that you're doing maintenance or new installations, for sure talk to them, get involved with them. Always have weekly operations meetings with your install and your service and maintenance techs. Weekly meetings with your operations. You as a business owner need to be involved in that. Maybe not every week, but maybe every other week, just to hear what's going on out there. You as a business owner need to be involved if you start seeing issues with performance with the technicians. It could be a management, operations manager issue. It could be some underlying issues that you always need to keep your finger on that. Now, what I always did too is maybe once a month I'd make a surprise visit out to one of our new installations. Always came early afternoon, like 1 or 2 o'clock, and just to make sure that the installation work is being done per your standards, because you need to have high standards for installation, and make sure and say hi to the guys, take a look at the work, say hello to the customer, and that always works out very well. And it's not that hard to do. You as a business owner have the install schedule at your fingertips. You as a business owner are out there doing quotes or doing other things. You can always schedule your day to stop by an installation and see what's going on. And the install techs like that as well. And again, you're not out there to hammer on them and beat on them. You're out there to witness the installation, witness the maintenance, talk to the customer, and see what's going on with that. So you definitely want to make sure that you're coordinated with the way that you hire your technician, have clear expectations about what that technician's going to be doing, have a clear path for that technician as far as moving up in the organization, because moving up, of course, always means money. And you also want to be able to tell that technician that you're dedicated to this industry, that you as a business owner are going to be continuing to reinvest profits back into the company, and reinvesting profits back into the company pretty much assures you a job as a technician. And those are the risks that you're taking as a business owner, and you're looking for that same commitment from the technician as well. So those are kind of the steps that I've done with the technicians in the field. I hope this has helped you out. It's worked out very well for me. I've got a whole lot of other information and chatting that I can talk about, but I can see I'm 30 minutes into this. So please, if you have any questions at all, give me a ring at Power Alliance. Again, my name is Jim Swetman, your standby host here for the Standby Power Generator podcast, and thank you very much for your time. Thank you for tuning in to the Standby Generator podcast. If you enjoyed the show, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share. For more resources, tips, and to connect with other like-minded professionals, visit us at poweralliance.com or visit our social media pages. Until next time, keep powering up your business.